What happens when someone who walks into a BTS concert with almost no interest in the group walks out with one member completely stuck in their heart? And what if that member is Jimin? There is something almost unbelievable happening around BTS's Jimin right now. You don't have to be an ARMY. You don't even have to be interested in K-pop. Sometimes all it takes is one concert, one performance, one moment, and suddenly you find yourself searching for Jimin. That is exactly why a new nickname is becoming so fitting for him, the fan-attracting fairy. And this isn't just something fans are saying. International media have actually documented the phenomenon. The Guardian recently reviewed BTS's July 7th concert at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. The writer reportedly went into the concert without any particular interest in BTS. But something changed after the lights went down. The music began. The performances unfolded. And as the concert continued, the writer found themselves increasingly drawn into the world of BTS. By the end of the night, there was one member who stood out above the rest, Jimin. Think about how powerful that is. Someone who wasn't already emotionally invested in the group didn't arrive with a favorite member. There was no years-long attachment, no established bias, no fan history influencing the decision. It happened in real time, right there on stage, and Jimin became the member they chose. But perhaps even more fascinating is that this wasn't an isolated reaction. Vogue Korea also highlighted the story of a writer who once described themselves as skeptical of BTS and K-pop. After attending a BTS concert, however, that skepticism began to disappear. Instead of walking away thinking, "I finally understand the hype," the writer went much further. They started looking for more BTS content. They became interested in the members. And during that transformation, there was one confession that stood out. They had particularly fallen deeply for Jimin. That phrase tells us something important about Jimin's appeal. His charm isn't necessarily the kind that demands attention the second he appears. It can work more quietly. You watch him. Then you notice his expression, then his dancing, then his voice, then the way he carries emotion through a performance. And before you realize it, you're no longer simply watching BTS. You're watching Jimin. That may be the secret behind the fan-attracting fairy phenomenon. Jimin has a remarkable ability to make people curious, and curiosity can become fascination very quickly. There is another example that makes this even more relatable. On the TV Chosun variety show Perfect Life, actress Jang Ga-hun was shown watching several Jimin videos and clicking like while still under the covers immediately after waking up. Her fandom reportedly began after watching BTS's comeback performance at Gwangwon. Just imagine that scene. She wakes up. Before fully starting her day, she reaches for her phone. And there he is again, Jimin. One video becomes another. Another moment becomes another reason to smile. And suddenly checking out Jimin's latest content becomes part of the morning routine. That is exactly how a new fan is born. Not through pressure. Not through advertising. Not through someone telling you that you should become a fan. It happens because something about the person on screen makes you want to see just one more performance. And then one more. And then another. But Jimin's current popularity isn't only being measured through personal stories. The numbers are speaking just as loudly. On August 19th, Jimin ranked number 1 in the August 2026 boy group individual brand reputation rankings, recording a brand reputation index of 3,992,107. And this wasn't simply another first-place finish. With this victory, Jimin's cumulative number of number 1 rankings reached an astonishing 61 times. 61. That is the kind of number that turns a popularity story into a long-term phenomenon. Even more impressive, his August brand reputation index increased by 2.53% compared with the previous month. The detailed figures included a participation index of 231,794, a media index of 529,648, a communication index of 1,694,907, and a community index of 1,535,758. And then there are the keywords. The analysis showed strong associations with words such as sweet, beautiful, and captivate. Those words almost sound like a description of the exact phenomenon international writers have been experiencing. They don't simply notice Jimin. They become captivated. The analysis also highlighted keywords including ARMY, WHO, and Billboard. while the positive sentiment ratio reached an extraordinary 92.96%. So now we have two different stories converging. On one side, you have the numbers, thousands of pieces of online activity being analyzed, a brand reputation index approaching 4 million, 61 first-place finishes, and overwhelmingly positive sentiment. On the other side, you have something much more personal. People who didn't necessarily begin as fans are attending BTS concerts and leaving with Jimin as their favorite. And perhaps that's the most interesting part of all, because statistics can tell us that someone is popular, but they can't fully explain why. The concert stories might. There is something about experiencing Jimin live that appears to translate differently from simply seeing a photograph or watching a short clip. On a screen, you can admire his visuals, you can listen to his voice, you can appreciate his dancing. But inside a stadium, everything becomes magnified. The music surrounds you. Thousands of people react at the same time. The choreography fills an enormous stage, and Jimin's expressions, movements, and emotional delivery become part of an experience rather than just an image. That may be why even skeptics can suddenly find themselves reconsidering everything they thought they knew about BTS. You can arrive thinking, I don't really understand the hype, and leave thinking, wait, who is Jimin? That question can be dangerous, because once you start searching for the answer, there is an almost endless amount of Jimin content waiting for you. Performances, solo moments, interviews, behind-the-scenes clips, fan interactions, old stages you somehow missed. And suddenly, the person who wasn't interested in BTS is watching Jimin videos first thing in the morning. The transformation is almost comical, but it also explains why the title Fan-Attracting Fairy feels so appropriate. Jimin doesn't simply have fans. He appears to have a strange ability to create new ones. And right now, that phenomenon is happening at a remarkable scale. BTS has already released its fifth studio album, eran, and the group is currently traveling around the world on the eran tour. The next stop is Rogers Stadium in Canada on August 22nd and 23rd. And if the recent pattern continues, there may be another group of people walking into those concerts without a clear favorite, only to walk out wondering why they can't stop thinking about Jimin. Maybe that's the real mystery. Why does Jimin keep doing this? Why do people who weren't even looking for a new favorite suddenly find one? Why does one performance become the beginning of an entirely new fascination? Perhaps the answer is hidden in the combination of everything Jimin brings to a stage. The softness, the elegance, the precision, the emotion, the vulnerability, the unexpected intensity. He can look delicate one moment and completely command a massive stadium the next. And that contrast is difficult to ignore. Maybe that's why someone can enter a BTS concert as a skeptic and leave as a fan. Maybe that's why an international journalist can watch an entire concert and suddenly choose Jimin as their favorite. Maybe that's why an actress can wake up and immediately start watching his videos. And maybe that's why, after 61 #1 brand reputation rankings, Jimin's popularity continues to feel less like a temporary trend and more like something deeply established. The fan-attracting fairy isn't simply a cute nickname anymore. It describes a pattern where curiosity becomes attention becomes fascination, and fascination becomes love for an artist who somehow makes people want to keep watching. So the next time someone says they aren't interested in BTS, maybe don't argue. Just send them one Jimin performance, because if recent stories are anything to go by, the most surprising thing might not be whether they like it. It might be how quickly they ask one simple question afterward: where can I watch more of Jimin? And that may be the most powerful proof of Jimin's charm of all.